We are recording, and I put mine on speaker view, which is makes the whoever the speaker is going to be in the main view of the of the screen. It's supposed to be, although I see Neva more as should be seeing myself, but anyway, yeah.
Ron, we can't hear you. No?
I got muted some kind.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, I'm going to start over. I want to welcome everybody to the Fellowship of Spirit in Farmington, New Mexico, where we gather together in love for one another and seeking a higher, better understanding of all things spiritual. We're glad that you are here with us, and today we have a real treat in that one of the pillars of our church in years gone by is with us today is Colleen Barber. If you've joined the church since she moved away, well, you really missed knowing a great person. We love her, and we're glad that she is with us. She moved away to Tennessee. Colleen, would you like to unmute and say a couple of words? Unmute your computer.
Well, I just want you to all know how wonderful it is to see you again. I don't know if I'll ever get out of here to come back and visit you in person, but it's my intention to do so. And everybody looks great and sounds great, and I missed you all. So, okay, Ron.
I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're with us. There may be some others join. I've contacted 3 or 4 other people who have moved away this past week, and if they don't join us today, they will join us in future services. So it's really good that we're here. We're I don't know mine. I have to see all who is here. Angie's here today, which she has been not being able to be here. She is our frontline fighter of COVID. She's a nurse at the hospital. She is Fred's better half, and we are glad that you're here, Angie. You want to, why don't you unmute and tell us what's going on at the hospital?
Hi, guys. So I've been working most weekends. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been working most weekends, so I haven't been able to stay awake for service on Sundays. The hospital itself, it seems to be a little steady for the time being as far as COVID patients are concerned. Most of them are Navajo. Mainly they're up there because of oxygen needs. That seems to be the major thing. Still be vigilant, wear your masks. I've actually become so rude as to ask people that are working in a restaurant or anywhere else if they're not wearing their mask or have it pulled down. I'm actually being rude enough to ask them to pull it up. Please do the same. It's not over. So we still need to be vigilant, stay away, and hopefully we'll beat all this at some point. So thanks.
Thanks, Angie.
Bye.
Thank you.
I just want to know how my kiddo is. That's Jesse Hankins. He works with you, I think.
He doesn't actually work with me. I'm on the nephrology floor, and I float up to COVID when we have patients up there that need peritoneal dialysis. You have to be a nephrology nurse in order to do that. So when we have somebody up on that floor, that's when we float up, which seems to be fairly regularly. So I seem to go up there about once a week.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie.
You're welcome.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and get started. I think Jerry has our opening prayer.
God, grant us the peace, excuse me, can't even read my own writing. God, grant us the patience to face these uncertain times with calm acceptance of knowing we are enough with you in our heart. Amen.
Jerry, you froze up. Now,
I can't help it. Everybody's freezing up. Do you want me to try it again?
would you please? We only
Yes.
a small portion of it.
Okay. But on mine, everything is freezing up. God, grant us the peace to face these uncertain times with calm and acceptance of knowing we are enough with you in our lives and in our heart. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. All
Did
right.
it come through that time?
It came through great. Thank you very
No?
much. Fred, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, we're gonna have a song from Fred. Thank you.
Morning. This is a song by Natalie Merchant. It's called Kind and Generous. You've been so kind and generous. I don't know how you keep on giving. For your kindness, I'm in debt to you. For your selflessness, my admiration. For everything you've done, I am bound. I'm bound to thank you for it. La 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 la. La 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 la. Well, you've been so kind and generous. I don't know how you keep on giving. For your kindness, I'm in debt to you. And I never could have come this far, oh, without you. And for everything you've done, you know I'm bound to thank you for it. La 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 la, yeah. La 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 la, yeah. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh, I wanna thank you for so many gifts you gave. Your love, your tenderness, I wanna thank you. I wanna thank you for your generosity, love, and the honesty that you gave me. I wanna thank you, show my gratitude, my love, and my respect for you. I wanna thank you. Oh, thank you. I wanna thank you, 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 thank you. I wanna thank you, thank you, oh, thank you, thank you, oh, thank you, thank you. I wanna thank you.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Hey, we
Welcome.
want to thank you for for your message last week. We all enjoyed it. I've heard so many good compliments. I hope you have too, on your talk. We really enjoyed it. Great. We're glad that Linda's sister Marilyn is with us again today from San Francisco, and we're glad that she's able to make it. Uh, okay. Next, we have our spiritual reading with Neva. You ready, Neva? There you go.
I think I'm unmuted.
You're good.
Computer wizard, I'm not. I have a really old Science of Mind reading from January 2019 that has always meant something to me. So I thought I'd go with this today. I am here to reveal God. In recent years, a sentence appeared to me that I have come to love. I am here to reveal God. If we think clearly about the idea and consider our belief that God is all there is, what else can we be doing? Whether we hold important world positions that affect the lives of many or simply live quiet existences, again, what else can we be doing but revealing God? It seems then that whatever revelations we may be involved in are up to us. If we do not understand the stuff of which we are made, these revelations may be lacking in depth or mercy. If we are aware of our natural divinity, we may know that we have a responsibility to live the healthiest, kindest, most loving lives possible. This does not have to be some sort of staggering commitment, but it can be a wonderful desire to see good done in our names. Truly, we are the places where God stands forth in the world as ourselves. That's one of my favorite mantras. What a wondrous inheritance this is, especially as we consider that we have universal guidance to light the way if we will but ask and accept. It is tremendous waste of spiritual gifts to put ourselves and others down. Much better that we realize our place as a bearer of infinite good and a revealer of what God has for us. And the affirmation, my spiritual self is my gift to life. I know myself to be a revealer of the divine presence. In my own way, I bring my love, my kindness, and my considerations into my daily affairs with great joy. And if I may, I'd like to add a prayer from this little book, Metaphysical Meditations by, okay, Fred, help me out here. Paramahansa Yogananda, something like that. Prayer for a united world. May the heads of all countries and races be guided to understand that men of all nations are physically and spiritually one. Physically one because we are the descendants of common parents, the symbolic Adam and Eve. And spiritually one because we are the immortal children of our Father, bound by eternal links of brotherhood. Let us pray in our hearts for a league of souls and a united world. Though we may seem divided by race, creed, color, class, and political prejudices, still, as children of the one God, we are able in our souls to feel brotherhood and world unity. May we work for the creation of a united world in which every nation will be a useful part, guided by God through man's enlightened conscience. In our hearts, we can all learn to be free from hate and selfishness. Let us pray for harmony among the nations, that they march hand in hand through the gate of a fair new civilization. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Neva. That was wonderful.
You're welcome.
I got tingles in my head when you were reading that prayer. Really good. Really good. Okay. What do I do with my glasses? Anyway, okay. Linda Crone is our speaker today. She's been in education for 38 years as a teacher and a children's librarian. She taught math and science and teacher's education in the education department in Fort Lewis. She presented technology workshops for teachers throughout New Mexico State University. For 2 years, she worked for New Mexico State Department of Education to recertify classroom teachers. She worked for Jostens Learning Corporation and taught teachers on the reservation how to use computers in their classroom to enhance learning. Recently, she has been helping children with learning disabilities to read better. She has a master's degree in computer in education from Lesley College in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And that's not easy to say, Massachusetts. I have been a member, and she's been a member of Fellowship of Spirit for 8 years. Let us welcome Linda Crone.
Morning. If I go out, you're going to have to just talk amongst yourselves because this internet just keeps going on and off and on and off. So hopefully it'll make it through the whole time. I'm going to be talking today about collateral beauty. Most of us are familiar with the term collateral damage. That is a phrase usually associated with military action, unintended consequences, or unavoidable losses following an accident or failure. Collateral beauty is also something that can arise out of unintended consequences. Even in the middle of terrible grief and loss, there can emerge moments of meaning and beauty. In a blog entitled Looking Beyond to the Collateral Beauty in March 10, 2017, collateral beauty frequently appears during the terminal illness of a loved one. Elizabeth Lesser writes about her experiences of donating bone marrow to her sister in a memoir, Marrow, a Love Story. Lesser describes the poignant healing that came as a result of conversations with her sister, which resulted in their reconciliation after a lifetime of conflict. Sometimes collateral beauty appears in just those moments of presence, the bearing of souls when people realize that their time together is limited or waning. In essence, collateral beauty is the love that emerges in the midst of devastation, whether it is the loss of a loved one, a destroyed home, or a tragedy that affects an entire community. It takes time to see collateral beauty, and frequently we don't possess the patience to pause long enough. It requires looking beyond what we see with our eyes and hear with our ears. It allows a glimpse into an often unseen love that permeates all. Wherever there is something seeming devastation, there is also collateral beauty. The healing, the joy of what has been, the celebration of certain heavenliness on earth. If we stop for a moment to savor all the beauty and goodness of life, rather than focusing on what is missing, on how we might want it to be, we gain a certain sacred perspective. It reminds us that beauty can be seen in anything as long as we allow our hearts to see it, to feel the sadness and the joy, to perceive the whole rather than the fragments. In the movie Collateral Beauty, Madeline, one of the characters, speaks to Howard, who is suffering the loss of a child. She says, "Just be sure to notice the collateral beauty. Its profound connection to everything, the beauty on the inside." Howard responds to her. Love, time, death. Now these three abstractions connect every single human being on earth. Everything that we covet, everything that we fear not having, everything that we ultimately end up buying is because at the end of the day, we long for love, we wish we had more time, and we fear death. Collateral beauty is not something that can easily be defined. The definition changes from person to person and from different life circumstances. I believe the events of May 25th outside a store in Minneapolis, when a policeman placed his knee on George Floyd's neck, is one of those moments that created collateral beauty. From the angry protests, the demonstrations, and the call for change, there is a deep undercurrent of possibility. There is a coming together of all humanity, open the festering wounds of suppression, to expose the underlying cause of hatred and racism, and in exposing that wound, to allow it to begin to heal. There are extremes on both sides of the issues, but in the middle, where the heart of this movement lives, there is a deep commitment to change the world. Looking into the heart and feeling the oneness of all of us is seeing the collateral beauty of the tragic death of George Floyd. As riots erupted in Minneapolis, a local bar and restaurant was destroyed and burnt to the ground. The owner, a local Black firefighter who spent his life savings to build his dream business, stood in front of what was left after the fire and the destruction. KB Bala was interviewed by a journalist, and pictures of his grief were sent out to the news outlets around the world. Tears of defeat and sadness ran down his face. He had lost everything. Here is what KB, in his own words, has shared recently. I would like to start by saying the amount of gratitude in my heart right now is outweighing the sorrow and heavy-heartedness I feel. Yesterday, I was able to share my story, and the outpouring of financial, physical, and emotional support has been overwhelming. As I think about my losses, I also want to extend my condolences to the Floyd family. My business can be rebuilt, but his life cannot be regained. I have been an entrepreneur in the state of Minnesota for many years, and my community really showed their love in the rawest form. Many of you know the Scores Sports Bar was my dream. It was all coming together when COVID-19 hit. The reality of not being able to open for a grand opening was difficult. With the help of my family and friends, I pushed through. To find out the countless hours, the hard work, the late nights away from my kids and family had all been for nothing was soul-shattering. It is not the material things so much so that the time cannot be reclaimed. I went to Scores yesterday and all I could do was cry. As a firefighter, a public servant, I am used to saving lives and being strong. But this broke me. The glass was broken, it was looted and vandalized. While filming for CNN, people came in trying to steal the safe, and I wondered what was next. My community, that's what. Strangers showed up with brooms, cleaning supplies, trash bags, and food. They helped me and my family clean up in 20 minutes, which would have taken days. That is what gives me hope. I want to thank and shed light on the real, true Minnesotans who helped many of us small business owners clean up yesterday. I was doing my shift at the fire station this morning when I got the call that the entire building had burnt down last night. My heart was so heavy, and I had to leave work because the emotional toll was too substantial. Right now is a tough time for my family and I, but also the community and the whole state. I know it will take some time, but we will rebuild. We will come back even stronger than ever. To the countless people who donated on the GoFundMe page, who sent emails of encouragement, and those praying for us and supporting us around the world, Thank you. We are all in this together. Stay safe, stay blessed, and keep praying for Minnesota. With love, KB Bala, Scores Sports Bar owner. This story has an amazing ending. The GoFundMe just topped over $1 million, and KB Bala will now be able to rebuild his restaurant. He will be able to have his dream after all. So in the midst of disaster, look for the collateral beauty. Amid the coronavirus, when so many people are ill and dying, out of work, and trying to cope with so much loss, it is difficult to see the light in the world that is experiencing. However, one 90-year-old man in China who lives in a high-rise apartment building said he could see the stars for the first time in 20 years. The children in Columbus, Ohio, who gave a concert on the porch for their 78-year-old neighbor to help ease her isolation and her loneliness. The children dressed up in these great costumes, played classical music that she loved, and she was able to sit across the street and enjoy the concert. In Riverside, California, the demand for adoption of animals was so high that they adopted out every animal in their shelter. Parents are reporting, even though children are driving them crazy being at home, they are finding ways of being present with their children. Even in the midst of such dark days, such unspeakable sorrow, there is hope that the light that lives in people's hearts will always be able to shine. You can find collateral beauty in all sorts of environments and situations. When I was a consultant working for a company that installed writing labs on the reservation, I met a remarkable woman whom I will just call Mrs. J. Mrs. J was a very large woman, weighing in at about 400 pounds. She loved the students. She was able to coax such beautiful pieces of writing. They were raw and deep and filled with emotion. Unlike any teenagers, they were a rowdy bunch who pushed the boundaries and rules that Mrs. J tried to enforce. They talked back, they made fun of and intimidated Mrs. J in mostly good-humored ways, except for one older student. I will call him Joe. He was openly hostile and constantly in trouble, not only in Mrs. J's class, but in all her other classes as well. One afternoon, Mrs. J went to scoot her chair closer to her desk, and the chair broke beneath her. She landed on her back, looking up at the ceiling, unable to get up from the floor. A few students in the back started to giggle. Joe stood up immediately. He silently nodded his head at several older boys to come forward. The room was deathly quiet. The boys kneeled down, and after a struggle, they got Mrs. J to her feet. Joe retrieved another chair, and he handed it to her, saying simply, "I think you better get a bigger chair, Mrs. J." Mrs. J nodded her gratitude. Joe nodded back. And that ordinary moment filled so much with collateral beauty that every student in the room was lifted just for a moment. I am reminded that collateral beauty can arise out of unintended consequences, even in the middle of terrible grief and loss. There can emerge moments of meaning and beauty. This was the case with my father when he became ill and was hospitalized for most of one summer. But before this, he was a robust man who loved to be outdoors. He prided himself on being in such good shape for an 85-year-old man. And he really was in good shape. He could out-hike most of us girls. He would run ahead of us, climb up on rocks, turn around and stand in the middle of the trail, holding his hands on his hips, waiting for us to catch up. He was a happy man, and he loved jokes, and he loved to tinker with weird objects that he could make into usable tools for some occasion. He had a beautiful tenor voice, and he would sing duets with his brother for church, weddings, and funerals. Even now, when I hear a tenor singing, my thoughts turn to my dad. But one evening, without any warning, my father's pancreas burst, and he found himself in the hospital with a life-threatening illness. He fought all summer to overcome the medical obstacles, but after 3 months, the doctors came to tell him there was no option left. They asked him what they could do to make him more comfortable. He whispered in a soft voice that he wanted to go home to die. He wanted to sleep in his own bed, holding the hand of his wife of 65 years. We hurriedly called hospice and arranged for an ambulance to take him home. I have never been prouder of my mother than at that moment. She agreed to everything and immediately began helping us make his last wish come true. After we got my father settled into his bed and arranged the medical equipment that was sent home with him, he looked at my sister and me and he said, "Where's the staff?" We looked at each other and shrugged. "We're it, Dad." He actually chuckled, shook his head, and seemed to relax into being at home. The night before he died, my sister and I were sleeping outside the living room just in case my father or my mother needed assistance during the night. My mother was laying next to my father, holding his hand. I know it was hard for her to know that in the morning when she woke, his soul might be gone. In the middle of the night, my sister woke me and said that my mother was sitting in the dining room with her head in her hands. I sat up and I saw a wispy white woman sitting at the table. We decided we should offer some comfort, but when we approached her, she simply evaporated. We went into the bedroom. My mother was still there holding my father's hand. We looked at one another, confused by what we had seen. Later, we believe it was my father's mother who had come for him. The next morning, my father was in a coma and seemingly could not talk to us. Some relatives had come to visit and were talking to my mother. I was sitting next to my sister when I heard a voice, and it said, "Come, I am going to die at 4." I asked my sister if she'd heard the voice, and she shook her head. We went into his room. We held his hand. We kissed his cheek, and we kept vigil. At exactly 4 p.m. in the afternoon, my father took his last breath. I leaned down by his face, and I told my sister he was gone. At that very moment, he blew out several very strong breaths that scared me, and I fell off the bed onto the floor. My sister got the giggles, and we looked at my dad. He was such a joker in his life. He loved to make people laugh. We will always believe that he had the last laugh on us. His death was so deeply felt, and we still miss his big laugh and his hearty hugs. But he also gave us such a wonderful gift. To be present when someone crosses over is to be given a moment so sacred and so special, it cannot be described in words. Such collateral beauty. I hope that in the midst of riots, the pandemic, isolation and social distancing, and now of course, we have killer hornets, that you can open your heart, see beyond all the sorrow and sadness to the light that lives in all of us. I don't think I have ever really felt the connection to others as much as I do now. Something is happening. We are being called to change, to evolve, to be a part of a new paradigm. As Eckhart Tolle writes, we are creating together to bring about a new earth. To create a new earth, the evolution starts with just one person. And that person is you. When you change within, when you feel differently about yourself and those around you, when you forgive yourself and you have the courage to forgive others, you push open the door to let the light into your life and the world. I hope you all look for collateral beauty in everything, for if you really look for something with an open heart, I believe you will always find it. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste. Very good. Wonderful talk. Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. I I try not to see tragedy, but rather opportunity. Opportunity is always for spiritual growth, becoming together in love, which I think is the purpose for all of us to be here. And tragedy, a view of tragedy gets in the way, but if we can see it as an opportunity to be more loving, to be more open and compassionate, then we got the point. And your talk today reminds us so much of that, and I thank you for it. Thank you very much. Does anyone have anything that they would like to ask Linda or comment on her? Now is the time. Unmute and speak away.
That was one of the most powerful sermons I've heard in my lifetime. So that was great. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you so much for sharing about your father and the special relationship you and your sister had with him. I think that's awesome to be able to do that. And the thought of collateral beauty is something that we should all consider, and I had not. I like the way you put it. So thank you for sharing that. I'm with Jim. It's one of the best talks I've heard in a long time. Thank you.
Go ahead, Colleen.
I actually would like to thank George for encouraging me. Thanks, George.
Colleen, George came in while she was speaking. If you want to say something, George is here now. Colleen, where did you go? Yeah, there you are. Unmute, Colleen.
Here we go. Hi, Jimmy.
Did you have something to say?
Well, I just wanted to say that Linda's talk pretty much brought tears to my eyes. And I'm going to use that term collateral beauty now forever, because it was so, and I agree absolutely everything you said, Linda. It is so profound and so wonderful. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I think Fred has another song for us.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. All right. Well, John Lewis's services today. So in lieu of that, I'd like to sing this song. Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I will fly away. I will fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life are gone, I'll fly away like a bird from prison bars. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away.
just a few more weary days and I fly away to a land where joy will never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I will fly away. Thank you.
In honor of John Lewis, a freedom fighter for his whole life, and he was a great American to his last breath. We have some announcements, and Chris, our beloved Chris, her son passed away in Clearwater, Florida this past week. He was 39 years old. So if you have time, give her a call. She seems to be doing well, but some people can hide it really well. It has to hurt to outlive your children. So give her a call. Also, Renee Chapman, Jim's wife, is her mother passed away in Tucson, Arizona, and she has gone to down there to. Yeah, Jim told me that they put her on hospice, and before Renee could get her stuff together and get down there, she passed. So keep Renee in your hearts and minds. I think that Bob and Kate are camping up in the Tetons or somewhere up north where it's cool and nice. And I see Colleen moved inside, so it must have gotten hot outside. Okay. So are there any other announcements that anyone would like to make? Go ahead, Jenny.
I was just wondering how many people have seen that amazing comet, because I think it's on its way, into the far reaches of the universe now, and we may not be able to see it much past tonight. And I realize that it's been cloudy almost all the time that it's been visible. But if you have a chance, you're going to find the Big Dipper, and tonight at least it should be to the left and slightly down of like the pot part of the Big Dipper. And at first you'll just see kind of a smudge. So if you have binoculars or a camera with a long lens or anything like that that would magnify it, it turns out to be pretty cool. And it'll be back, again in about 6,000 years, they said.
Well, if we don't catch it this time, we can always see it next time in another life. So that's good.
Yes, reincarnate. And
thank you, Jenny. Any other announcements? Okay, I'm going to give a closing prayer, and then I'm just going to leave the room open in case people want to visit with Colleen. George is here, and you may want to say something to him, Colleen. I'm going to leave the room open for a little while, okay? In the meantime, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for this time that we have come together. Help us to realize that our time together is sacred time, and that it's well worth it, no matter how we come together, whether it is in a building or whether it is over electronic means, that it is meaningful and that it is done in love. We ask that you would protect us and keep us safe during this time, and all those that we love. Keep us healthy and vibrant, so that we may be a testament to your love and strength. We ask that you would touch our leaders, that give them wisdom and help them to make good decisions to rule and govern our world as we go forward fighting this pandemic. And we thank you. Thank you for the lives of each and every one that has come here today. Thank you for Colleen and for Susan and for all those that I haven't mentioned, but they're all are special in your own unique way. Help us to go forth with compassion, understanding, tolerance, and love. Namaste. Okay, everyone can unmute and just go for it.
Thanks, Ron. Great service. Thank you for putting it together. Thank you, Linda, for the wonderful talk. And